board on 9/3/2024. We want to take a roll call, please, Savannah?
In attendance tonight, we have Brian Wolf, Gail Ober, Rich McNeil, Counselor Bruce Cheney, Mike Delavecchia, Charlie St. Clair, Amy Levisick, Planning Director Rob Mora, Assistant Planner Tyler Carmichael, and I'm the recording secretary, Stan Bruno.
Thank you very much. We'll look for a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes
Is
from
there a
the
second?
previous meeting.
Second.
It's been seconded by Amy. Any discussion? Perfect, we're on a roll. All in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna go on now to continued public hearings. We're gonna start with 6.1 PL 2024-0070, 1921 Parade Road. And this applicant is proposing to subdivide the parcel into 4 single-family lots. Do we need an acceptance of this, gentlemen? We do need acceptance. I'll look for a motion to accept.
Motion to accept?
So made by Amy.
Second.
Seconded by Gail.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hands. No discussion, it passes without opposition. Thank you. So, is there somebody here? Please, by all means. Just give us your name and address, please, or who you represent, if you represent.
My name is Sarah Wordy. I'm here with Du Bois. I'm here from Du Bois and King, acting as the engineer for Lou Tomasello. Lou is the owner of 1921 Parade Road.
And what's your address, sir? Where do you live?
Full-time residence is Salem, New Hampshire.
Seattle, New Hampshire. Okay, thank you. We like to know these things, you know.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, go ahead, please.
All right. I guess I will address you guys, but if I need to show,
You might want to bring it forward so we can get it on the camera. I think that should be good there. Yeah, that looks like
Okay.
it's good. Beautiful.
all right. So, tonight we are here to discuss the 4-lot subdivision
Thank you.
and subdividing off Clover Lane. This is an existing property at 1921 Parade Road in Laconia. The existing lot encompasses Clover Lane, which has already been constructed and developed off of. It provides the only access to multiple residences at the end of Clover Lane. The existing property has an existing residential structure that has more or less been abandoned, and a barn that served as a commercial business. Additionally, it had paved parking, gravel parking lot, and 2 driveways off of Parade Road. The proposed subdivision demolishes the existing residence and unfortunately the barn, and restores the existing paved and gravel surfaces to a vegetated state. It also removes the driveways off of Parade Road, providing access within Southdown via Clover Lane. So the new lots will only be accessed inside the gate. They are part of the association. The existing lot and residence was also part of the association, so these new lots will remain. We received a variance in May to create lots less than the 2-acre minimum. This property, as you can see here, it resides in both the residential single family and the rural residential 2. However, a majority of the property is in rural residential 2, which requires a 2-acre minimum. We did receive the variance, and as a condition of that approval, there were a couple other conditions that they put on it. One of those was that none of the new lots be accessed via Parade Road, which was our intention all along. And you will see in the proposed that we do access off of Clover Lane for all 4 new homes. Additionally, they said no no development within 100 feet of Parade Road. So we've shown an additional setback, and you'll see that all of the homes are outside of that additional setback. That was so that we could maintain the character of the rural views from Parade Road. Let's see. So each lot, during the sale of the property, it was a requirement that Clover Lane be deeded to Southdown as part of any subdivision that occurred. So Clover Lane will be subdivided off and deeded to Southdown, who already maintains the road. This is good for many reasons, and one of them is connecting to the piece of Clover Lane that they own and creating a more secure access for the residents that live down there. So then we create 4 single-family lots. It's the addition of 3 new homes. It is overall a reduction in total impervious area due to the restoration of the paved and gravel areas and the raising of the existing structures. We are aware that drainage is a big concern in this area. We are not proposing any additional closed drainage within Clover Lane. However, we do have a plan to address the new impervious area that we are introducing with these homes. One of the requirements of Southdown is that you show and address foundation drains so that you can be proactive about not causing erosion. So all 4 homes are equipped with a foundation under drain that connects to the catch basin. So there will not be any erosion because it's all going to be piped. Additionally, homes 1, 2, and 3 are going to have a stone infiltration drip edge around the perimeter. This will catch any of the runoff from the roof, and that will be equipped with an under drain that is connected to the closed drainage along Clover Lane. So you won't even get runoff from those 3 units. We did hear additional feedback and concern about the 4th house, which we had shown being split, some of it continuing down the road and some of it heading off into the field. So now what we are proposing is that the half of the roof that was proposed to drain to the south and southeast is now going to be captured with an under drain, roof drain, piped to a rain garden, and then that rain garden is going to have an under drain that connects to the closed drainage. So the runoff from all 4 new homes will be captured and connected to the closed drainage.
Can you just, for the thousands of people watching at home, where will that drain, where does the drain end up?
It is, the rain garden was a new addition based on some very recent, overall.
Yeah, overall.
Yes, so we have catch basins here, and they drain the catch basin here, and they connect to the closed drainage across from, in the Fells development. We modeled our stormwater report to measure the flows entering this system so that we can just mitigate it before we get to there, because we did not model the entire network.
So it goes into the Phelps, and where's that go?
We did not further investigate that. We are just
Okay.
mitigating our flows, knowing we're not increasing off our property.
Do you guys know who owns that? I mean, where does that go? The Phelps one?
That's all owned by Southdown. It goes into their,
Goes into their main thing, okay. And one other question, because I'll forget, and I appreciate you taking it. So just real easily, you said that that road is gonna go down into Southdown for security or something?
No, so there are gates right here currently.
Yeah.
And these houses will be accessed. You have to go through the gate
For Southdown?
and then, yes, yes.
But then you said it curves around.
Oh,
Up in
so
there.
yes, this very small section is what is owned by Southdown. Technically, Lou owns Clover Lane, and we're not aware, It is deeded rights that the residents can use it, however, we're not aware of any other easements associated with it. So Lou owns this road, and yes.
Okay.
So it's obviously a lot better, since this road provides access to so many other homes, that it be controlled by a more central entity than one homeowner.
I guess that's what I'm confused about. You said it has access to other homes because it goes up around?
Because, so there's an existing, let's see.
You can see them from the road, Charlie.
So there's an existing home here, here, and then at least two here.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
all right, that's my, again, just the question.
Yeah, of course.
I knew the answers, I'm asking for the people at home,
That's
obviously.
If I could add something to that, just so you're aware, this was supposed to happen with the previous owner, John Davidson, in 1991. He actually tried to do it, but he had been foreclosed on, so he didn't own it when he deeded the road to Southdown. So since 1991, this has been an issue. So we have the ability to correct it now for Southdown, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, thank you both very much. Go ahead.
Additionally, Southdown already maintained the road. So if they're going to invest and maintain it, it makes sense that they own it.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see, what else can I tell you? All of the new homes will be served by municipal water and sewer. We are proposing to connect into the existing water line that runs along Clover Lane. And then we are proposing a sewer extension. You may ask, well, why are you bringing the sewer onto private property and requiring easements versus keeping it in the road? There are three reasons for that. One, the existing closed drainage and the proximity to the water line. It would be difficult to maintain the required separation between the water line and the sewer line without disturbing the existing closed drainage. Additionally, along the frontage of Clover Lane, there are some pretty mature trees that residents have requested be protected as much as possible. They've expressed that they really like those trees. It provides some screening, if you will, for the fells from Parade Road. So we brought it away from that in order to try to preserve as many trees as we could. So it will be a sewer line extension from the sewer manhole that is located right on the abutter's property line. That is 67 Clover Lane.
Okay.
Let's see what else. If I can be proactive to address some of the feedback that we got today, one of the items that was mentioned was there is a bank of mailboxes at the end of the fence, and the abutter expressed concern that there may not be adequate space to add 4 new mailboxes. At this time, the intention is to have individual mailboxes unless Southdown or the post office requests differently. There really is room to add mailboxes at the end of the fence, but if I'm honest, I've never shown mailbox locations on a subdivision plan. I just haven't gotten to those nitty-gritty details. But Lou is prepared to work with the post office to make sure it's somewhere they want. I feel like they're usually the dictating powers, but also if Southdown has a vision for what that looks like, unless the city has any specific
I
requirements.
hope not.
No, I don't think so.
I hope not,
Yeah.
okay. That's
All
fine.
right. Then another concern was that we are proposing to replace the existing fence that's along Parade Road. In a previous plan, we had showed it along the whole frontage. We have since removed that due to some concerns about a snowmobile trail, probably in the southern region. We contacted the Bureau of Trails and looked into the statewide mapping and could not find any trails mapped on this property. It's all on the other side of Parade Road.
Shocking.
We also could not find
crossed out.
any like legal recordings or documents that say there's an easement and there is a snowmobile trail.
Well, don't be bullied into thinking you have to have a trailer if there's not, because that could be a liability issue, which I'm sure the property owner is aware of, so. That's good, though, you did your homework
They
with
do
that.
cross Parade Road there.
They cross Parade Road there.
Yeah.
It's further south.
whatnot.
So
all that,
we
yeah.
have heard that, and just my concern with like our application and our plan that we're presenting today, eventually, it's a plan that's gonna be recorded, and everything that our surveyor stamps on there should have backing in something that's recorded. So we don't feel comfortable showing a trail just because someone said there was a trail, but we would be happy to add it if any of the concerned parties were able to produce legal documentation showing its location.
Please do that, thank you.
Okay.
Some of the other concerns were about the drainage, which I hope we have addressed with adding the rain garden and connecting the fourth house to the closed drainage system, so there's less that will be leaving the property in the easterly direction. And then the final item was concerns about a mature tree and some landscaping in this area where the sewer line extension is proposed. The sewer line extension is completely proposed on Blue's property, and it's located along the road edge, which is the preferred location for future maintenance and repairs. It's important, it's preferred to have as much of it be within the road as possible. So we located that the best we could. Obviously, every effort will be made to try to reduce damage done to mature landscaping. Happy to hear additional discussion on that too, if anyone has suggestions.
Are there any trees that you exist on the property today that you're proposing removing in that zone where the concerns have been
No,
addressed?
Okay.
no.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Are you ready? Are you done your presentation? Because I can hold on my questions, that's not a big
you
deal.
can hold all night if you want, but I don't want you to.
I got two kind of off-the-wall questions. First of all, and I don't know if this is extensive, is this a New Hampshire scenic byway?
What was that again?
No,
No,
it's
it
not.
Okay, well,
I
there's
think
been
someone
some
would've told
talk
me that
back and
already.
forth about designating Parade Road as a New Hampshire scenic
No,
byway.
that is something that the city had talked about years past.
Okay, well, I
Um,
have a long memory, sorry.
But that was the whole purpose of doing the RR2 corridors, was preserving those that scenic byway without designating or creating a scenic byway.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And is there, corollary to that, is there any historic significance to that house or the barn?
The barn.
I believe you had to look into that for the barn.
Yeah,
Did you guys look into it?
We had to go to the historical commission and
It's already
Oh,
been
you
approved.
did, okay,
Yep,
all right.
it's been
all
to the
right.
Heritage Commission and they already approved the.
The Heritage Commission,
Sure.
yes. I was gonna ask you about that barn. I think I was in it once my whole lifetime. Are those wide boards on the side of that, or
Well,
are
that burned down a number of years ago.
they,
Oh,
it
it
did burn
did?
down?
Yep.
wide
Oh, I
boards on
remember
the
that.
siding?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
The barn itself burnt down?
Yep.
Okay. It shows you how much I've
Back
been up
in
in
the
that area.
90s.
Okay,
Back
And-
in the 90s.
okay, and the stone walls are gonna stay?
Yes,
Okay,
as much as possible. I'm not aware of any that we're proposing to disturb. Particularly, in one of our meetings with Southdown, we talked about the stone wall and the tree vegetated berm, if you will, here. And the goal is to maintain as much of that as possible, because they expressed concerns that a future homeowner is gonna want some shielding from the traffic that happens right here, particularly in proximity to the gates. So our goal is to trim no further than that stone wall and protect the stone wall.
yeah, my concern honestly is more what happens on Parade Road than it is down in Southdown, just because, while it isn't designated as such, it is a rather significant, portion of New Hampshire, our Laconia Meredith Bridge history, and there's some old things in there that some of us would like to see stay there.
Any other-
And thank
is
you
that
for
it?
the 100 yards from the road, because I think that
100
helps.
feet. Any other questions?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Amy.
Just out of curiosity, why are you not putting the fourth property with the whole system that you did the first three?
Yep,
Just
so
out of
that was
curiosity.
our first thought, but, as you may not know, you might know. When you're doing site drainage, it's a balancing act. You can't just take someone's problem over here and blindly shoot it that way. You have to balance your pre and post. So when we were modeling this off-site location, adding the fourth house to it brought it above
high.
pre-existing conditions. So it was that balancing act of half that house going down the road, half of it going into the field, that worked. However, we understand optics, what it looks like, just sending a roof into an area that already has drainage issues. So we have proposed a solution that allows us to do what we initially planned, which is capture it and put it to this closed drainage system. We're just slowing it down first.
Okay, and where is the rain garden going?
It hasn't been fully realized to its potential, but it's this in-ground swimming pool looking structure.
Gotcha, okay.
So it will have piping to it, and then our plan is to connect it.
And that's on what, lot 4?
Yes.
Only on lot 4, okay.
Thank you.
And regarding the snowmobile trail, since this is a public meeting, tonight's meeting is the notice that if I heard you correctly, there will be no snowmobile trail there any longer because of the development of the property, is that right?
Well, if I can interrupt right here,
That was not my understanding.
according to their research, there is no snowmobile trail there
But there
legally.
Well,
unless-
understood, sir.
Unless people are just using it because they can.
Yes.
And have,
Which
yeah.
is fine until our property owner says, you know what, we're not
Right.
having this trail here.
They could choose not to, be cooperative as a property owner, and
There's also a difference between trails that are maintained and mapped by Bureau of Off-Road Vehicles and private trails negotiated by the local club. There's a
And the-
difference
and-
there.
and the-
local club does
property owner.
maintain
And the
that
property
trail
owner.
Right,
today
that's
is the
correct.
point. That's
Yeah.
why I'm just,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that for a fact.
that's correct.
They are maintaining it?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
I know
That's-
that the sled dogs went by 'em
Yeah,
on
that-
it.
Again, that's gonna have to be
that's
up to the property
You
owner
just
to
hit-
Right.
work with these
the other
people.
point,
Right.
'cause
I
that's-
just don't want anybody just bulldozing their way down, saying, well, we've always done this. That may well be, but now you've got a new property owner and.
Well, that's my point. There's a new property owner in town, and this is the development that's proposed, and that would spell the end, at least to my knowledge, of the use of that property as a snowmobile trail, depending on the property
Potentially.
willer's
Potentially.
willingness to be
Yeah,
cooperative.
potentially.
I will say, when we were made aware of a potential snowmobile trail, we looked into it through Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, which is where we saw that there was no state acknowledged trail going through there. However, the state does say that the local snowmobile club does maintain the local trails. When you go to the local club's website, it mentions there being some loop within Southtown, but there's no defined map of that on their website that I could find. So, at the end of the day, if there's nothing there legally tying it to the property, the city has no concerns.
I
But
understood. The point is notice. This is the notice to the public then that that's at risk to no longer be available.
Or that a conversation should be had with Lou, perhaps before it snows.
Yeah, and just for the record, at this point, I have no intention of shutting down access. I actually snowmobile myself, so, you know.
Is that last lot to the edge of Southdown's property, or is there some beyond that?
I believe the Heath's property wraps around it at like an L shape.
Yep, goes up to
So,
106.
this abutter owns like an L shape around
I
it.
think you'll find that the snowmobile trail goes through that part.
Right.
So if he allows it now, it's reasonable to assume he'll allow it going forward.
Yeah, again, we're just not sure if it's on his or
Yep.
our property, so
But I'm
You
pretty
can s-
sure it's on his property.
I think you're
I
right.
go by it every day.
You can see the line across the street where the snowmobiles have made a mark in the
Right.
actual pavement, so it's delineated. You'll know.
I just don't want anybody to think that the board is taking positions either way on snowmobile trails on this particular property. And, again, this is something between the owner and
Right.
the other interested parties, and that's great. Communication, bingo. So, any other questions or comments, Counselor?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a question, I have a comment. Du Bois and King comes here fairly regularly. If you look at this board, you may notice that 4/7 of it has gray hair. So if you could maybe stop using the yellow and
Oh,
I brought so many other colors.
Any
I'm
other.
sorry.
Oh, I can't
Got a
see
green
anything.
one in there?
I do
I
have
hear
a green
voices.
one. I should have asked your favorite color.
Just look in the direction of the voice.
Sorry.
Next time.
I did. I brought 4 other colors just in case we had to really get in.
Next time, yellow doesn't do well for,
That is very good to
She
know.
can use
Thank
the
you.
white one, and
hilarious.
you want the white one next time?
that'd be just as useful as the yellow.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right, that's
I would-
okay.
I would venture to say it's been a very good presentation.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
And,
thank you.
whatever your fees are well earned. So that's all I would say. That's
Give her a
my.
raise, Charlie.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Rob, is the city covered as far as now this becomes part of Southdown, this road? So it's no longer, could come back to the city and say, oh, we want to make this a city street now?
I think we've very much identified that in the notice of, in the staff report.
Okay.
Okay.
I can also add to that. One of the things that you may notice is, so Clover Lane is being subdivided off, and part of the city of Laconia's regulations is a minimum right-of-way width of 50 feet. However, at the end, Lou's lot is only 45 feet wide, so it would be really weird to have a jog all of a sudden. So we are proposing that this lot be 45 feet wide, and that right there solidifies that it will, no one's ever gonna come to this city and be like, you
Yep.
took it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant before we
No, sir.
open this up for
Go look Jane
the
Ave.
public? You guys can have a seat and we'll,
Thank you.
but don't go anywhere.
Jane Ave is like
Please.
25 feet wide.
Okay, we'll open up the public hearing at 6:56. Are there any abutters or anybody else from the public? Come on up and state your name and address, please.
My name is Mary Labonte, and I live at 114 Clover Lane, which is, it's a house that's at the end of the road. So I would be what's called a testimonial abutter,
Okay,
impacted by the development.
so come back over to the mic. Thank you.
So I had a few different concerns, and I'm really happy to say that Sarah and Lou have addressed most of them. I do have a question I wanted to ask Sarah.
Please.
When
No, I gotta have you
I'm sorry.
get in the mic.
When Sarah and I spoke previously on the phone, it was before they had come up with a drainage situation for the roof of the fourth house. And I just wanted to have clarified, because she said the back of the roof would be draining into that rain pond. Is the entire roof draining in, or will the front of the roof still be draining down the street?
Okay, she's gonna answer that right now, I believe.
Okay?
Yes,
I don't wanna speak
yeah.
out of turn. This is our drainage area plan. So, the front half of the road and, the front half of the house and the driveway have always been proposed as continuing down to be considered in this catchment area. And the back half of the house, which was sheeting this way, is now going to be captured in the rain garden.
Okay, we have very, very bad drainage issues on our street. I just got out of the hospital, or I would have had a video and worked with Mr. Mora to have something to show you, but I'm literally just out of the hospital.
So you're saying that when you have we have bad
When it
rainstorms?
rains,
Like any rain or,
orig-
any rain or just a lot of rain?
a lot of rain, but I'm talking rivers running through our property. If you don't mind, I wanted to go over here.
Sure, please do.
So you can understand. Thanks. For people who haven't been to this road, this is the bottom of the road.
So it's a slope.
It's a big slope. It's 60 feet elevation difference from here to here. So any rain that comes off. So we're looking at this fourth lot was an undeveloped piece of land before, and it already had drainage problems. So adding something to it, naturally, you could have concerns that it would get worse. One of the thoughts I had that I was gonna address tonight was, kind of an alternative thing. I don't know if this is a stupid idea, but I'm just gonna present it. Right now is these 3 roofs go to the storm drain system that exists in this house, but not the roof. And I was wondering, because these 3 houses, they don't drain down Clover Lane, only this one would. And this used to be a field. This is actually less coverage because it used to have a parking lot and a road here. But this was always a field. It didn't have anything on it. And even still, it drained down, causing a lot of problems all the way down. And I do have videos I can share. But wouldn't it be possible to run the 4th roof into the storm system and let the 3rd roof, where you're already decreasing coverage, and because you're taking out so much of the parking lot and the existing road that was here, let that be the roof that has an alternative system so that there isn't going to be water more than what's already happening coming down the street. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay, before we get to that, do you have another question too, or comment?
I had some comments about the snowmobile trail, because you guys are asking. I live in Southdown Shores, and Southdown Shores has a map of recreational easements, and they run along the side of my property, and they do come up here. There's a wall, an existing stone wall here. So the trail doesn't run here. It runs across the corner here. There's a recreational easement that exists in Southdown and has for many, many years, probably more than 2 or 3 decades. Ben Pearson would be the person to talk to. He's the person who maintains the trails for the Belknap Snowmobile Association. But this is not, I don't know laws, but this is an existing recreational easement. It's on my property survey map. It's on, I know, these other ones. Maybe it was over here, but this is a wall. That trail runs across the back of this property and crosses Parade Road to the other side.
Well, it doesn't sound like the owner is interested in blocking it.
Oh, I know, I understand.
And again, that's not the
Yeah.
job of this board, I believe.
Yeah, I
to,
just wanted to say that because I know, like, on my own property survey map, it shows the easement. When we bought the property, we were happy to have it because we also snowmobile. And, you know, you do have a right as an owner to say no, but as an owner, if you say no, you really do yourself a disservice because people still go on your property. And the state of New Hampshire is an amazing state.
Yeah,
They
again,
provide
again,
insurance.
this doesn't, it sounds like the owner's already addressed this.
Okay.
And if the owner doesn't about face, then it would be, something would have to be worked
Yeah,
out
I just
between all
wanted to,
parties.
it sounded like there were people that didn't have all the information, and I had that information to share, that's all I'm saying.
Okay,
We were also curious about the mailbox, because throughout Southdown, for the most part, I don't know if they call them cluster mailboxes or what. Maybe there are some places that have individual mailboxes, I don't care. We have a cluster mailbox for the 5 homes that exist on Clover Lane. And I know that all the rest of us really care where it is, but we like that mailbox, and we like to keep it. But I don't know what the post office rules are. And, yeah, I guess that's really all I wanted to say is I would not like to see any more water. And while I appreciate everything that's been done to try and further mitigate, and it's really evident to us that our concerns are being heard and efforts are being made to fix it, I don't feel like that solution totally addresses my concerns or the concerns of the other people that live on our street.
All right, well, I have a feeling we're gonna take that up when we talk to staff after this public hearing. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else?
Hi, my name is Jim Labonte. I'm also at 114 Clover Lane. The only one concern with that snowmobile trail, in the stipulations from the prior zoning board recommendation, is there is going to be a fence line that goes along this area. And that fence matches the other end where the Meadows is in Southdown. That's the intention, hopefully, same materials and look. But the fence line on the drawing showed it connecting up with that rock wall. So if you put the fence line all the way to the rock wall, obviously
It's
you've
gonna block
blocked
it.
complete access. So my only request is that that section where it crosses,
So that
Cross
fence
Parade
li-
Road.
That fence line was required by the zoning board?
is a recommendation.
It was recommended by Southdown.
Southdown.
Oh, it was recommended by Southdown.
And we've already shortened it so it doesn't go
Yeah,
that far.
they already testified to that.
Okay, so it just showed on the drawing going all the way to the rock wall, and I was concerned that was gonna
Okay.
block everything, so, okay.
Thank you very much for speaking. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to comment on this application? Okay, seeing none, nobody else, we'll close the public hearing at 7:06 PM.
Are we allowed to ask them to come back up?
You want to do that before you have staff report?
No, I don't, I just want to know if at some point we could ask
Oh, yeah,
her a question.
I have a feeling we're gonna.
I think it might be worth asking the engineer if she would come back up and discuss the
Do it
drainage
now
one
before
more
we
time.
get to staff? Come on up, kids.
Thank you.
We're all kids. Well,
Okay.
most of us.
So, just on the surface, just thinking about how grading and drainage works, my concerns with saying that house 3 and the driveway will continue down Clover Lane, how do you get this driveway that direction to the catch basin? You would have conflicting drainage, so I don't know that we can do it in terms of sheet flow.
So what can you do,
We
what more can you do to try to mitigate potential, especially with the rains we get? Is there anything else that be done to mitigate it even more than you've done already in your
Well,
mind?
let's ask it this way, with what you have there, does it make it any worse than what was already existing?
So that's one of the things, I wrote a pretty extensive drainage letter that was submitted, and we did a site walk, and it was actually during a pretty solid rain event. And what I observed while we were out there was not these houses sheeting down the road. It was a combination of, I'm gonna fix my problem and just send it to someone else. They have a driveway culvert that points to their neighbor's property. Their property was getting washed out, so they built a very long stone trench that dumps out the back. You continue further down and there's no roadside ditch lines, there really isn't any stormwater infrastructure, but someone dug a swale across the road. So the swale that they dug here pretty much should capture road runoff, particularly on the inside, and send it to these people. So then you continue down and this entire property sheets to the end. This property with their new drainage swale all sheets to this area. So unfortunately, because it was done in individual pieces to address individual problems, you now have a cumulative problem because it wasn't done together.
How long ago do you think that last swale you spoke about was dug? Any idea?
She spoke about it at the zoning board meeting, so within 5 years, 10 years?
So, but even before that was put in, we were already having drainage.
No, I understand that. I'm just curious about how long that was there.
It is an interesting idea to take house 3 off of the closed drainage so that we could capture all of house 4. We could look at the problem is that we can't all of a sudden capture
keep
all of it
asking
and send it
questions.
here.
Well, I'm gonna get to you.
Yes, here we go.
Counselor Cheney has a question.
Sorry.
Please, sorry.
Didn't I hear you say you were putting a rain,
Yes,
what,
Yes.
what did you call it?
a rain garden,
Okay. How deep is it gonna be?
not deep. It's not very deep.
So perhaps you could make it a little deeper?
I mean, we could,
Actually touch on the fact, Sarah, that that's tied in to the under drain.
right, so the rain garden is going to have an under drain that then connects to the closed drainage. So, while we're fully designing the rain garden, we could look at capturing the entire house. It's going to increase the size of the rain garden.
That doesn't sound like a bad
If I
thing.
can just state, the city's regulations require you to not increase flows. There are no requirements for us to fix an existing problem that we don't fully understand, we haven't fully studied, we haven't fully modeled. And we might do absolutely everything possible, zero flow off, and they could still have drainage issues.
I suspect you may be right on that. Again, especially with the rains we've been getting, it seems like you just go 10 feet and all of a sudden you got a flood going on.
And the whole purpose to that rain garden is to slow the flows down, so now the calculations work as far as tying it into the under drain.
Okay,
So whether it's big or small, as long as it's slowing it down, then it works.
okay. Does anybody else have any questions for these two right now? No. Before we get to the staff? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Staff, I wait with bated breath to hear your comments on all this. Please.
So, pretty much, we've obviously heard the same concerns from the abutters, about drainage. And we do believe that they have sufficiently provided drainage mitigation for the property. With that said, of course, we always want harmony amongst neighbors, so if making it deeper works for them and that can alleviate fears, that's fine too. But again, we're satisfied with what they've presented. So,
If I can, it's difficult, we understand that there's an issue there currently,
right.
but they have met the requirements of our site plan and subdivision regulations in their stormwater management, and they're not increasing it. And as
They're not increasing the drain off.
right.
Pinpoint though, they're not increasing it to where the core of the conversation is, or?
Correct.
Okay.
Can I just add one thing for clarification? The drainage study that worked and the report that was presented it worked without the rain garden. The rain garden was above and beyond to help ease concerns.
So they have gone above and beyond what our requirements are to try to mitigate the existing issues that are there. As she explained, there's a piecemeal situation that's happened out there through time. It's not their responsibility to go and fix everybody else's drainage as it goes down.
Is there any possibility with this work, though, and the development, that it could make it worse? Do you think? Is it possible? That's all I'm asking.
Her report did not indicate that. I think, I am not an engineer. I have to base my decisions off of her report and what the city engineer says when they go through the TRC process. And they didn't have any concerns with the drainage as it was presented in her plan. And then she added in the rain garden. So I don't have any data that would indicate that it is going to increase.
So the abutter is concerned that it's gonna make it worse, but we don't really know that it's gonna make it worse. It's just
There is no data that says it's gonna get worse.
well,
There's no
don't know
facts
because
that
the
indicate that
project's
it will.
not, the project's not done, so we don't know that it's gonna make it worse.
We don't know anything.
There's no proof that it's gonna make it worse, is my point. We're just making the assumption that maybe it's gonna get
Well,
worse.
she's done her plan, and in her plan, in the calculations, it shows that it is not gonna make it worse.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's just say it did make it worse. Is there something that the city or you guys could say, hey, maybe we should work on this and make this a little better?
Isn't that private
Are
property?
there
though?
options to consider at least?
Well, it's
Private
private
property, you
property.
can't go onto that property.
It's private property, but we're approving the plan, and I just wanna make sure we're going on projections. But if our projection is wrong, I don't want to be able to say, well, it's too bad.
How are they gonna prove it's not water from, how do they prove it's water from this property and not this property?
Again, that would be up to the people who look at it at that time. I'm just saying, I'm just asking.
At the end of the day, whatever the board approves, that's what we will have to enforce, that they are building it to the standards that the board has approved. If there is an issue later on down the road, then that would be a civil matter between the property owners.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, my only concern is actually less after it's built, because of the Lot 4 and the concerns expressed by other people on Clover Lane during that construction phase, which is always messy. I would recommend enhanced drainage,
Mitigation.
mediation along that area, because once it's seeded and the house is built, it probably isn't, but I do know that sometimes during
They
the-
do have a erosion control plan.
and,
do?
sometimes during construction, these things get messy, and they can get messy for the
And I
neighbors.
believe that is
I
one of
wouldn't
our
wanna see
conditions
that.
as well on our staff report, is that
Okay,
we'll go out there and inspect.
and you're comfortable with what they've proposed, and you keep an eye on it, obviously, so.
We are.
Is there
Okay,
any-
great.
Is there anything else you guys want to offer?
We have the staff recommended conditions of approval, if you'd like us to read those into the minutes.
Please.
All right. So for the first portion, this will be the pre-construction requirements, and all conditions in this section must be completed at least 2 weeks prior to commencing any work on site. For one is plan revisions. Plans must be revised and submitted to the planning department in accordance with the following. All leading zeros must be removed from all lot numbers. Details of the fence to be constructed along Parade Road must be provided and include the height, style, and materials to be used. All notes on the details sheet must reflect a minimum buried depth of 6 feet for all water pipes, and one paper and one digital plan must be submitted. Sewer inspection. The existing sewer service must be inspected via camera from the house to as far downstream as possible. During the inspection, the sewer line must be marked out on the ground. If the camera cannot reach the sewer main, then the service must be inspected from the sewer main to as far as possible upstream. For the sewer disconnect service, the applicant must disconnect the existing sewer service as close to the sewer main as possible. The Department of Public Works must approve the service disconnection plan prior to disconnection. Water service disconnect. The applicant must disconnect the existing water service at the water main. The Water Department must approve the service disconnection plan prior to disconnection. Erosion controls. Erosion controls must be in place and inspected and approved by the Planning Department. The Planning Department will perform regular inspections to ensure erosion controls are installed and maintained correctly. Site security. The applicant must submit a performance guarantee for site improvement and restoration security in an amount equal to 11% of the total estimated cost for all site work. This guarantee must be submitted to and approved by the Planning Department. This performance guarantee will be returned to the applicant once the project is complete. Bonds will not be accepted to satisfy this requirement. Landscape security. The applicant must submit a performance guarantee for site landscaping and restoration security in an amount equal to 11% of the total estimated cost for all landscaping, or a minimum of $500, whichever is greater. This guarantee must be submitted to and approved by the Planning Department. This performance guarantee will be returned to the applicant after 2 growing seasons following the completion of the project. Bonds will not be accepted to satisfy this requirement. Permits and approvals. The applicant must possess all required permits and approvals granted by other municipal, state, and federal boards or agencies. All permits and approvals must be in place prior to the signing and recording of the final plans in Mylar. Should any permit or approval be revoked at any time during the project, all work must cease until a new permit or approval is obtained. Copies of all permits and approvals must be provided by the applicant to the Planning Department upon request. And then finally, for pre-construction requirements, final plans in Mylar. 4 final plan sets and a Mylar plan must be submitted to, reviewed, and approved by the Planning Department. The Mylar plan must be recorded at the Belknap County Register of Deeds in accordance with RSA 478-1-A at the applicant's expense. That's all gonna happen before, at least 2 weeks prior to construction. The construction requirements. All conditions in this section must be met during the construction of the project. Parade Road setback. No structure may be built within 100 feet of Parade Road. Lot access. No lot may be accessed from Parade Road. All lots must be accessed from Clover Lane. And water specifications. All specifications for municipal water service required by the Water Department apply to all construction. For post-construction requirements, all conditions in this section must be met prior to the issuance of any certificate of occupancy. Private sewer agreement. A private sewer agreement must be in place between each development and those serviced by the sewer downstream. Evidence of the in-force agreement must be presented to the Department of Public Works. Road ownership. Clover Lane will remain a private road to be owned and maintained by the Southdown Recreation Association. HOA membership. Each house must be included in the existing HOA. HOA documents for each house must be provided to the planning department. Impact fees. Impact fees in the amount of $3,814.80 per new single-family dwelling unit must be paid to the planning department. In accordance with RSA 674-39, the applicant is exempt from any changes to impact fee rates for 5 years from the approval date. Should the project not be completed during the exemption period, the applicant must pay any and all increases to impact fees regardless of vestment status. Monumentation. A statement from a licensed land surveyor must be submitted to the planning department confirming the proposed monumentation was installed according to the approved plan. Lastly, an as-built design. An as-built design application and fee for each dwelling unit must be submitted to the planning department for review and approval. And finally, the completion date. The project and all associated conditions must be completed by no later than August 6, 2026. If all conditions are not met, nor any extension application filed with the Laconia Planning Department by the completion date, this approval is null and void. Do that.
We'll take a break.
Very.
Good job, Tyler. Good job.
Thank you very much, Tyler, I appreciate, we all appreciate that. Anything else?
There are two waivers that you'll have to vote on first. The first waiver is for right-of-way width, as she has mentioned. It's 45 feet instead of the required 50 feet. The road is already existing at 45 feet, and we agree with her. It doesn't make sense to have it jut out at, within the property to 50 feet. And then the second one is a sidewalk waiver, because there are no sidewalks in this private development.
The sidewalk inside the development?
Correct.
Okay, that makes no sense. Okay, any other questions for staff after that? Well, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, but I do have a technical question. Do the waivers have to be made separately, or can I incorporate them all into one motion?
You can do them in one motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve PL 2024-0070-1921 Parade Road. Parcel number is indicated on the staff report, with all of the conditions, waivers, regulations, findings of fact, staff recommendations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, as read into the record by the assistant planner, Tyler.
Does she have to mention anything about that state thing? In her motion, the state, why we're doing this?
Finding a fact?
Yeah, finding.
She did. She did.
She mentioned that the
cover it.
findings of fact are listed, yeah.
Is there a second to that motion? Do we have a second? It's been seconded. Okay, any discussion from anybody?
I think it's an improvement. I think there's gonna be less drainage going down the hill by removing the parking lot, the big barn, the big house.
Yeah.
Those three houses are going to go into a drainage, so I think it's gonna be less water instead of more water.
Yeah, like I said, my only concern is during the construction phase, and that's always messy.
Covered.
And we can't control how
We've
much
covered
rain it gets.
We've covered
But-
that. So I would just say to the abutters there, from the presentation tonight and listening to the two applicants here, or the one applicant, I don't normally stick my neck out like this. I really don't, but I have a feeling that they're gonna be good to work with. They're in the construction, and I just feel that if there's an issue with the water thing, that you'll be able to probably get you won't get one of these things, well, too late now. I feel strongly that they'll react to, if there's a potential problem, that they can work with, and that they'll be good neighbors about that. And I know they won't let me down, and I'm sure they're not gonna let you down either, so. Okay, last chance, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, raise your hands, please. Thank you, none opposed, it's, none opposed. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving kind of along quickly. We're going to go to 7.1. PB 2025-01017 Bay Street. The applicant is proposing to amend their application to allow for private trash removal. If the applicant will come up, applicants?
Sal, Stephen Hubbard, I'm with Laconia, Lakes Region Community Developers at 193 Court Street.
Do we have to make a motion to accept?
Yes.
Hold that for 1 second there. Do I have a motion to accept this application?
So moved.
Okay, it's been made by, what's your name again? I'm kidding you. Is there a second?
Anonymous.
I know, anonymous. Do we have a second? Okay, so that's been noted. All in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, no opposition. Thank you very much. Okay, the floor is yours now.
Thank you. This is really a technical change to the,
Wait, so we got somebody screaming to look at them. Okay, all right, go ahead.
this is a technical change to the approval that you folks already made. When the approval was written up, it said that we needed to have a dumpster, not simply private trash pickup. And we actually have found a company who will do the trash pickup, not the city, but a private company, but will use coders that are similar to the city trash pickup and fit in the area that we had planned for them. But it said dumpster specifically in the approval. So I think we're sticking with the spirit of what you all approved and just looking for this technical amendment.
Is there going to be recycling too?
We have not had great luck with recycling because of the change in the market, that it has become very expensive to recycle. But we have included recycling everywhere that we can and would continue to do so, assuming that it makes financial sense.
At Bay Street, or are you talking about everywhere? We're talking about Bay Street. Are you gonna do recycling at Bay Street?
I'm not sure that we've determined that because we have to find a company that is willing to take recycling at the same price that they take garbage. The market all
I know all about the markets,
okay.
but, so the company that's doing the trash, do they do recycling?
I believe so, but I'm not positive. So I'm hesitant to answer your question and be incorrect.
Well, I just, I know, I hear all about the markets and stuff, but I just, rather you guys do it through a private thing, or if you have some other place to put the recycling, and maybe somebody can whip it up to the, to the transfer station where there is no cost to leave recycled goods, none at all. Perhaps you can look into that, because personally, but on behalf of people that believe in recycling in the city, I would hate to think that you guys just throw your arms up and say, we're not gonna do it because of the market. Again, it can be brought up to the transfer station at no cost at all. So even if you had a couple not dumpsters, but a couple of totes for that maybe that's something that could be looked at strongly.
I am fully in agreement with you. I
Okay.
just don't know, because I'm not the asset manager for this property. We have somebody that is going to hire the company to pick up the trash, and she and I did not talk specifically about recycling, but I know she's a big-time recycler, so.
Good. I will wait eagerly to hear
Yes.
the result of that.
But I don't have I'm just hesitant to say yes,
My
because I'm not
recollection is
positive.
it was one dumpster.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
Was
but now
one
they're
dumpster,
right.
correct?
Yes, so per the prior conditions, they were required to have a dumpster.
I understand
So
that,
they
but now,
can-
but now they're back before us, so that's why I'm bringing it up and asking.
I
Any
do have
other-
a question for the
Go ahead, Gail.
applicant. Why the change? Why?
Because dumpsters are loud and smelly, as we heard from a couple of the abutters.
It's true.
Oh, I'm not gonna disagree. I'm just saying that, absent some form of a container to hold the trash, then you run into
use
a critter
toters.
problem.
So,
No, we're gonna use toters, like.
Oh, you're gonna use toters?
The
Yes.
concern was that the planning board required specifically a dumpster. But the
Oh, okay.
reality is, as far as the city's concerned, as long as it's private trash collection, whether they use a dumpster or normal trash cans, as long as it's a private entity taking care of it, we're good. But we need to clarify specifically that it's just private trash collection, not specifically a dumpster. That's all we're doing.
They're gonna use the same type of toter, or whatever you call them, that the city now.
Oh, all
provides
right,
for
okay,
everything else.
all right. I'm sorry, I just
Okay.
had visions of plastic bags in the area
No.
where there was going to be a
Well, I'm sure
large
the
trash
neighbors, the neighbors would
receptacle.
be there quick
That's
to
all.
point that out.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
Is it, will they, the totes be in the same location as the dumpster was going to be?
Yes. There's no change to the site plan as you approved it.
Would it be screened or anything, or?
Yeah, there's a thing around it, yes.
Okay, we'll open up for a public hearing. If there are any butters here who would like to comment on the application on this, we'll open this up at 7:30 PM. Thank you for stepping aside so they can all come up. That's very nice of
They
you.
rushed you.
I just didn't
Rushed
Well,
you.
you might have been knocked over. Okay, we'll close the public, seeing nobody here, we'll close the public hearing at 7:30.43 seconds. Okay, so, thank you. We'll go to staff now.
Go ahead. So staff has no concerns. They ran into this issue of, well, you know, the dumpster doesn't really work out for them, so they came and talked to us about it. Unfortunately, the specific condition was a dumpster. This is just us correcting that, making it, it's just private trash collection. So for that, there are only two recommended conditions of approval that we have, which is to amend the prior approval to require private solid waste collection method preferred by the private solid waste collection service, and all solid waste receptacles must be screened. And then the second condition is all of the conditions from the November 6, 2023 approval apply. So we're just basically giving them the ability to work with their private collection service to figure out what method works best for the property.
Any questions of staff? Yeah, I'm gonna throw my plug out again one more time. I don't even have to say, it, you know what I'm talking about. And
I will find out and I'll get back
Yeah,
to you.
well, I'll stop by and visit. I know your office is over there, so I think it's important to a lot of people, so, and I don't necessarily believe the market stuff, because I think a lot of these companies are just trying to make too much money off it, and they just blame the usual stuff. Okay, I'll look for a motion on this. Amy? Mike?
I'll make the motion to accept application to approve application PB 2025-010 for 17 Bay Street. Conditions of approval presented in the staff report.
And it's for the common good. That'll be good for the state. I'll look for a second for that.
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in approval, and 1 opposition. Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Okay, so now we're going to 7.2 PB 2025-007, 92 Pine Street. The applicant is proposing to change from a single-family to a multi-family use. We'll have a motion to accept the applicant.
So
Somebody?
moved.
I'll make a motion
Okay,
to,
no, Counselor Cheney just made the motion. I'm looking
Okay.
for a second.
I'll second.
It's seconded by Gail. All in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, without opposition, thank you. Okay,
Hi, my name is Thomas LeRae. I live in Laconia, 441 Elm Street. About 2 months ago, we got a variance for density to allow for the construction of 3 units in the old Tyler Street Market. We had since gone through the planning department and switched from commercial to residential, and got approval for 2 units, and submitted the application for 3. We went to the TRC. We've gotten notice from the fire department on exactly what they want to see: 1-hour separation, self-closing doors. The water department has given us notice of what they want to see, which is basically take out the backflow device, because it's no longer a commercial, and put in a meter horn. The Public Works has given us the okay for the sewer line that's there, which has been newly constructed, was, I think about 6 years ago, was installed. I think as far as our TRC hearing, everything went as planned.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
If you want more, I can
No,
read a whole
by all
book.
means. No. After the meeting, actors or something. Any questions for the applicant?
Oh, I'm just sorry to see it go. I mean, it was a part of my young childhood, but time marches on.
Anybody else? Okay, Amy, go ahead.
If I may, I'm only seeing 2 in the drawing.
We submitted the application because we wanted to get building, and we didn't have approval for 3 yet. So we submitted the application for the 2.
Okay,
The 2 is on the first floor. The third unit is to be constructed at a later date, most likely spring to early summer. At that time, we'll fill out another building
I see.
application. For right now, what we want to do is get some units built and start creating a little bit of revenue.
understood. Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
They're gonna be 3-bedroom units.
One of them's actually 3 bedrooms, could be a 4-bedroom, but we'll probably, it has 4 rooms that could be used as a bedroom, because we were building it, and we're looking at the dining room, and like, this thing is huge, so we decided to put another room that can be used as an office in there. But they're all legal 3 bedrooms.
Okay. No other questions? Okay, thank you. We'll open this up to public comment at 7:36. Is there anybody in the public here in the room that would like to comment on this project at the Tyler Street Market? That was for you, Gail. At 7:36. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:37. And that's that. Staff?
So, it's pretty self-explanatory. They're just going from a 2-family use to multifamily use at this point. That's really all they're looking to do. With that, you know, they have to go through the TRC process, and there are some conditions associated. But there really, you know, there are no concerns from our standpoint, and I will read into the record the recommended staff conditions.
Please do.
So for their pre-construction requirements, in this section, all conditions in this section must be completed at least 2 weeks prior to commencing any work on site. The first condition under this section is permits and approvals. The applicant must possess all required permits and approvals granted by other municipal, state, and federal boards or agencies. All permits and approvals must be in place prior to the signing and recording of the final plans in Mylar. Should any permit or approval be revoked at any time during the project, all work must cease until a new permit or approval is obtained. Copies of all permits and approvals must be provided by the applicant to the planning department upon request. Second condition under this section is the final plans. 4 final plan sets must be submitted to, reviewed, and approved by the planning department. The final plan sets must include a floor plan for each unit. For the construction requirements, all conditions in this section must be met during the construction of the project. A Knox box must be installed to prevent damage in the event an emergency entrance is needed. Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors must be installed and interconnected in accordance with the fire code. Fire separation, all dwelling units must be separated from each other by walls and doors, constructed as fire barriers with a minimum of 1 hour fire resistance rating. For the sewer service must be cleaned and inspected via CCTV. A certified inspection report must be submitted to the Department of Public Works for review and approval. Water meter and meter horn. A meter horn with a double check valve can be used in lieu of a testable backflow device. The Laconia Water Department must reinstall the water meter once the meter horn is installed. Both the meter horn and the water meter must be in a heated and accessible location. And water specifications. All specifications for municipal water service required by the Water Department apply to all construction. For the post-construction requirements, all conditions in this section must be met prior to the issuance of any certificate of occupancy. First one is construction and maintenance assessment fees. All construction and maintenance assessment fees must be paid to the Water Department. Water Department inspection. The Water Department must inspect and approve all plumbing work. Impact fees. Impact fees in the amount of $3,481.37 per new multifamily dwelling unit must be paid to the planning department. In accordance with RSA 674-39, the applicant is exempt from any changes to impact fee rates for 5 years from the approval date. Should the project not be completed during the exemption period, the applicant must pay any and all increases to impact fees regardless of vestment status. And then lastly, an as-built design. An as-built design, application, and fee for each dwelling unit must be submitted to the planning department for review and approval. Lastly, the completion date. The project and all associated conditions must be completed by no later than September 3rd, 2029. If all conditions are not met, nor any extension application filed with the Laconia Planning Department by the completion date, this approval is null and void. That's that.
Thank you very much. Anything else?
That's all we got.
It's right to the point, for sure. Any last questions for the staff? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion, we accept planning board application 2025-006, 92 Pine Street, to convert an existing structure from is it a two-family now, or it's kind of a nothing
It's a
now?
two-family right now.
Okay, to a three-family unit, with the requirements and staff recommendations, conditions of approval as read into the record by Assistant Planner Tyler Carmichael.
Very good. Thank you, Gail. Is there a second to the motion? Please?
I'll second.
Somebody? Seconded by Amy. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. That's no opposition. Thank you very much. Thank you, and good luck.
Very much.
Okay, so now, we go to 7.3, PB 2025-008, 30 Winter Street. They're proposing to convert the existing building into a 3-unit multifamily building. I'll take a motion to accept the application.
So moved.
So moved by Amy, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. All in favor, please raise your hands. Oh, thank you, Gail. Okay, we've got no opposition to that acceptance. So if you gentlemen will state your names and your address, please.
Good evening, my name is Nicholas King. I live in Nashua at 21 Hayden Street.
D. Shea Hollis, 19 Crestwood Drive.
19 what?
Crestwood Drive.
Crestwood Drive. Is that in Laconia?
Hollis.
Hollis, okay. Thank you.
Close. To divine it.
I thought maybe Nashua.
Yeah.
Thank you, go ahead,
Yep,
gentlemen.
so our project's located at 30 Winter Street. The property was previously a warehouse building. We recently got 2 variances to help convert the building from a warehouse into a 3-unit multifamily property. One was for density, and the other variance was to modify the parking. The property is very, very tight. We are encroached on all sides by our setbacks and everything. So we have now 3 spaces located at the front of the property. There's no material changes to the building in terms of adding additions or anything like that. The building footprint is remaining exactly the same. All of the work is being done interior to the building to divide it into the 3 units. And from the feedback from the TRC, the additional parking space, and we previously had a boardwalk accessing the units themselves, will be now pervious pavers instead of decking and hard paving. And we're happy to answer any other questions.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Gail.
Anyone living in there now?
No, definitely not. Well, not legally. There's
No.
probably,
Okay.
there was probably.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that was my question.
Yeah.
It's because I just noticed a car parked there, and I just, in a picture that I saw, and I was just wondering if anyone happened to be living there.
The person taking the pictures car.
Sorry, what?
The person taking the pictures car.
Whatever.
Any other questions?
He wants to use.
So I had thought that it was under the planning board's rule that we deal with the parking.
Can you, I'm sorry, because we couldn't hear what you
You
said.
couldn't hear it?
Yes.
So I feel like when I first started on this board, we dealt with the parking variances. And we dealt with people who didn't have the right amount of parking, it came to us. But now it doesn't. I just need clarification for me.
So we have parking requirements in our zoning ordinance, and if you're going to deviate from the zoning ordinance, it has to go through the zoning board.
Okay. So how does it come to this board as well?
We reviewed the parking design requirements to make sure that it meets the design requirements outlined in the zoning ordinance and in site plan and subdivision regulations. But the administration of the requirements in the zoning ordinance fell to the zoning board.
Okay.
So they requested a variance to deviate from those to go down to 3 parking spots as opposed to the 1.5 per.
And how many bedrooms is each unit gonna have? Do you have a sense, or
Yes, so each unit is a one-bed, one-bath unit.
one bed, one bath,
Yes.
like one kitchen?
Yep, one kitchen, one bathroom, one bed.
So
per
they'll be
unit.
small, wholly contained?
Yeah, they're about 20 by 30
that's
is the kind of finished dimension of the entire unit. So there'll be 3 of those.
So each unit would be about 600 square feet, give or take?
Yeah, plus or minus. About.
Three unit, yeah,
Okay.
very small.
I think it's a good idea.
I'm not saying it's not, I was just curious to know how big the apartments were gonna be, and
Well, as he just said, we both lived in things that were smaller.
I grew up in Massachusetts, Bruce, I lived in a lot worse. But-
We used to have a
Um,
landlord in this city that you could have probably put 8 apartments in there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because say, yeah, that's
with
8 New
G's
York
in it.
City apartments, you're
Yeah.
leaving a lot of money on the table,
Doesn't
guys.
begin with G.
I think it's a good idea, it's a residential neighborhood with multifamilies in it, it's like the zoning board said, it's not inconsistent with the way the current neighborhood is being used, it's an old garage.
So it's safe to say, before we even get to the staff report, you have 1 vote in the pocket.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
Okay, staff?
Similar to the other multifamily, there were really no major concerns with this one. As they had mentioned, they had received a special exception to have a multifamily use in the RG district, and they received their 2 variances from the zoning board. They did go to TRC, and with that, we have a few staff recommended conditions of approval.
Can I interrupt you? Did I do a public hearing on this, or public
No.
comments?
Oh,
I
no, you did not.
No.
No,
So
but
let's put a stop on that, because I was looking at the clock, I said, I remember saying 7:40. Yeah, make room for all the butters, please. We'll open the public hearing at 7:47 for public comments. Are there any abutters that would like to speak to this application? I apologize for not asking you sooner. We'll open it up right now, 7:47. Seeing none, we'll close at 7:47, 40 seconds. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, staff. Are you finished now? Are you gonna read the,
I'm going to read the staff recommended conditions of
Okay.
approval.
please do.
So for the pre-construction requirements, all conditions in this section must be completed at least 2 weeks prior to commencing any work on site. Permits and approvals, the applicant must possess all required permits and approvals granted by other municipal, state, and federal boards or agencies. All permits and approvals must be in place prior to the signing and recording of the final plans in Mylar. Should any permit or approval be revoked at any time during the project, all work must cease until a new permit or approval is obtained. Copies of all permits and approvals must be provided by the applicant to the planning department upon request. Water deposit. The applicant must provide the Laconia Water Department with the required deposit amount for inspection services. Final plans. 4 final plan sets must be submitted to, reviewed, and approved by the planning department. Final plan sets must include a floor plan for each unit. Construction requirements. All conditions in this section must be met during the construction of the project. A Knox box must be installed to prevent damage in the event an emergency entrance is needed. All smoke and carbon monoxide detectors must be installed and interconnected in accordance with the current fire code. All dwelling units must be separated from each other by walls and floors constructed as fire barriers with a minimum of 1 hour fire resistance rating. The sewer service must be cleaned and inspected via CCTV. A certified inspection report must be submitted to the Department of Public Works for review and approval. Water service box and curb stop must be repaired or replaced. Meter horn must be installed. The Laconia Water Department must reinstall the water meter once the meter horn is installed. Both the meter horn and the water meter must be in a heated and accessible location. All specifications for municipal water service required by the Water Department apply to all construction. And then for the post-construction requirements, all conditions in this section must be met prior to the issuance of any certificate of occupancy. All construction and maintenance assessment fees must be paid to the Water Department. Laconia Water Department must inspect and approve all plumbing work. Impact fees in the amount of $3,481.37 per new multifamily dwelling unit must be paid to the planning department. In accordance with RSA 674-39, the applicant is exempt from any changes to impact fee rates for 5 years from the approval date. Should the project not be completed during the exemption period, the applicant must pay any and all increases to impact fees regardless of investment status. And an as-built design, application, and fee for each dwelling unit must be submitted to the planning department for review and approval. Lastly, the project and all associated conditions must be completed by no later than September 3rd, 2029. If all conditions are not met, nor any extension application filed with the Laconia Planning Department by the completion date, this approval is null and void.
You guys are all clear with that, obviously. Do you think it's gonna take you that long to complete it?
No.
Do you have any,
Probably 4 to 5 months is our hope.
wow, okay. That's pretty fast. That's good, okay. Thank you, staff. I'll entertain a motion from somebody. Don't all jump at once. Do you have more questions?
I don't know, Gail's on a roll.
I was just curious, could you reiterate, maybe Mike remembers, what variances were granted by the zoning board? Density and parking, or?
Density and parking. I'm usually against parking, but the fellows presented a case where it could be small, basically
One bedroom.
like an efficiency apartment, and so we went with it.
No, I'm not gonna disagree, I just wanted to know exactly which ones were approved by you. Thank you.
Okay. Again, I'll entertain a motion to approve or disapprove. Somebody?
Rob, do you have something?
Actually, if I could just add one thing.
Okay.
It's just more like a gee whiz information as we move forward. And this is a prime example of that. The state just passed a law earlier this summer, and it changed the parking requirement, which becomes effective 1 January of this coming year. So these folks got the variance for parking, but if they would have applied for this after January 1st, they would not have needed the variance for parking.
They would have to what?
They would not have needed the variance for parking. The state has required that we reduce our parking requirement for multifamily down to 1 parking spot per. So we will be forced to amend our zoning ordinance to reflect that change in parking requirement. So just,
For the record, I'll let everybody know I voted against that because I was not thrilled with the state telling local towns or cities what they should do with that parking ordinance. But that was just me representing my constituents.
Is that to help with the housing crisis?
That's
they
exactly what the
wanted?
argument was.
exactly
There
what
was
it's
a big
about, yep.
argument from cities like Nashua, Concord, and Manchester, for that matter, all saying the same thing. which
I
you
just
said.
believe it's just a big difference between a 1-bedroom and a 3-bedroom.
I will
I
expect to
agree.
see you at the next committee hearings in Concord. When this comes up, I'll let you know. Down to
there
testify
is,
to that.
so that when the state did pass that law, there is some further calculation that when we start getting into multifamilies over 10 units, you have to start calculating bedrooms, and that factors into that parking calculation as well. So the state made it exceptionally complex and made it great. We love it.
Very good.
Okay, can I entertain a motion for this?
I'll make a motion to accept the 30 Winter Street application PB 2025-008 as all recommended by Tyler in the staff report.
Good job.
I'll second that.
Okay. For discussion, anybody have any more discussion on this? I just have one question. One of you lives in Nashua and the other one lives in Hollis, and I think you're gonna be the landlords, right? So,
Yeah, we self-manage, yeah.
okay. That's quite a ways from Laconia, so I hope you keep the lines of communication real good between you and your tenants.
Oh, yes,
Because
yeah.
that's a good ways away.
Yeah, we pride ourselves in, like, so we don't have a lot of turnover. We do only long-term, we don't do short-term, mid-term, so we have good relationships,
So you've done this other places?
yes.
Okay, that's good to know. All right. All in favor, please raise your hands. 6 in the affirmative, no opposition. Thank you both very much and good luck.
Very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay. I just have a question real quick here. What, my ignorance, what is a meter horn? Does it blow?
I was questioning that.
A what?
A meter horn, is that
Yes.
something that
It's the
blows?
funky shaped thing that the
Makes
meter,
no-
it's that funky shaped thing that looks like half a trombone or something, that the water meter mounts inside.
And what's it do?
It's where the mount,
It's where
so
it
the city-
measures the amount of flow
Oh,
for the
yeah.
meter.
I
The
thought,
plumber,
what's the
the
horn?
plumber who puts
Is
that
that-
horn
that's
in,
the
and then the
attachment?
city comes and puts the meter in.
okay, I get it, it's just,
And we just bought like a couple of hundred new meters.
okay, I was just curious, because I thought I was really missing something here, so I'm waiting for things to blow in my
Those ran
basement.
out.
Yeah. Okay, we're doing really good here, let's move along here. Do we have any presentations tonight?
So the next public hearing is for an amendment of Article 235, 81. I'll just go do a little bit of background. So currently in our zoning ordinance, we have special exceptions and variances. And those typically expire after 2 years if they're not completed. And if they're not, if they're not completed, the applicant can, or the developer can come in and request a extension. We have recently run into a situation where we had a project, or a proposed project, on a lot that would not have normally allowed the project to go forward. And the applicant brought in a variance from 1976 and attempted to use that. And we said there's no way you can use that. We have adopted this in our zoning ordinance that says it expires after 2 years. And after debate with legal and some lawyer action, we went and we found out that we were wrong. And our zoning ordinance is correct that it allows 2 years, but only on new variances, not on previously approved prior to 2013. So legal suggested we add language to our zoning ordinance that would effectively terminate these outstanding variances and special exceptions that were approved in the 1970s. And their proposed language, which is used by multiple other municipalities that adopted it correctly back in 2013, which we did not, to allow us to correctly adopt it. And that language is all variances and special exceptions that were authorized prior to August 19th, 2013, that have not been exercised shall terminate if not exercised within 3 years of the adoption of this amendment and the posting of the notice of this amendment on January 1st, 2025, or as extended by the Zoning Board of Adjustment for good cause. So what this says is we have to publicly notice this amendment for an entire year prior to that 2-year period starting. So hopefully no other variances or special exceptions that were approved in the 70s or 80s or 90s will not crop up and give us any heartache. So,
So let me get this straight, so if a variance is given to anybody, any applicants, and 2 years go by and nothing's been done, that variance expires?
yes. Or they can go and they can seek an extension from the zoning board, which happens all the time.
Right, but if it doesn't happen, they don't get the extension, then they're done after 2 years.
Yep, and it's just like, so if I go to the zoning board and I get a special exception for a campground, if I don't ever exercise that, it automatically expires in 2 years.
Okay, so what if that property changes hands?
The approvals go with the property.
Okay, they go with the property.
Yep.
But if somebody doesn't come in within 2 years,
It
it's done.
expires. Yep.
Okay, that's-
There is a stipulation to that, though. If I came in for a variance for A, B, C, and D, like 30 Winter Street came in, and they get a planning board approval, and that approval is good for 5 years, that planning board approval protects them from the expiration of those variances. or
That's
special
correct, because they have a 5-year period. That makes sense.
Why are we given 5 years?
State law protects them from changes in the zoning ordinance, so giving them the 5 years eliminates the question of if there's a change in the zoning ordinance that they don't have to come up to date with that. And we know then if they come in after that 5 years, any changes, we can enforce those. We can add those requirements to them. A good point in case would be like a subdivision that might have been approved, say, in 2000. And they come in for an extension every year. At what point does that subdivision need to be reevaluated? Does drainage still work? Does the sewer still work? Does water still work? if we keep extending everything without having that time period in there, then we could
So
open up.
we have a 5-year time limit now. That's
Yep.
what we're establishing.
Yep.
Very good.
Okay, does this affect at all, this one wouldn't, but how does this approve to abandon non-conforming uses?
It doesn't abandon non-conforming uses, no.
Okay.
So if I had,
That's a
if
whole
I had a
different-
use that was.
that's a whole different
Yep,
statute.
totally different ballgame. So if I had a use that was non-conforming, it remains non-conforming as a pre-existing grandfathered use until I stop that. And then after 2 years, you've abandoned that use, and then you'd have to come back in for a new approval.
Okay, well, I want to, I complimented a few people out there tonight. I'm going to compliment you guys for doing a good job on this. This is good.
Tyler's a
This is
regular
good
speed
stuff.
reader.
Well, besides
If-
that,
if- if I-
this is good stuff right here, I think.
Thank you. Oh, and I'll just add to that, so I've recently had a life change, and Tyler has filled my seat, and obviously he likes larger pants.
Wow.
Because he has stepped up to the plate, and he has.
enough.
You know, no,
Might
I
wanna
mean, as in,
rephrase that.
the larger, the more responsibility, he has really stepped up, and I am very grateful for everything that he's done.
As are we all.
Tyler,
That's how we all-
I
thank
wouldn't
you.
read anything else though until somebody brought me a coffee from now on.
Well, I just.
I'll take note of that.
I just, you know, I want to look into that other cup over there.
If I could, on the public hearing that we just had for the amendment to the zoning ordinance, if I could get the board to vote on that, to forward that to city council?
This right
we-
here,
Yes.
Need a
Yes,
public
I-
hearing though first?
Yep, we'll have to open up to the public as well.
right now.
Yep.
Oh, was this noticed and everything?
It sure was.
Okay, all right.
Sure was.
Neil, if you'd like,
have
you
to
can
read the daily
you
sign.
can excuse
I
yourself
just-
and go out and be the
I-
public. I'm just saying.
Sorry, wasn't.
Because now I've got to open this up for public comment
It goes Rich.
on this duration of permits at 8:01 PM. Boy. Okay,
Tough crowd tonight.
seeing none, we will now close the public comment at 8:02 PM. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so, any more discussion on this? I'll entertain a motion. Gail?
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommended changes to ordinance, well, not approve, but recommend
To city council.
to city council, the proposed changes to ordinance 235-81 duration of permits.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. And you're usually at the city council meetings, or one of you, so you'll be able to explain this.
Yep.
And, okay, thank you very much. All in favor, please raise your hand. Second, anybody opposed? Abstention, we have one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor, one abstention, and none opposed. Thank you all very much, and thank you both. This is really good stuff, for sure. Really good stuff. Okay, planning department report.
So I'd just like to kind of head off. So at this last city council, we finally adopted the updated language to our ADU ordinance. So now ADUs are permitted by right. That's been a long time coming. I think we've been working on that for 5 years. So slow and steady wins the race.
Wow.
Yes, yeah.
Also, we went out to bid for impact fees. We have selected a contractor to do that. We are right now working with them on a contract. So hopefully, in the next month or so, we should have
I would say so.
a contract.
Yeah, I would say a couple of weeks.
So a lot of great things going on there. We have gotten some feedback from legal concerning the unregistered and unlicensed vehicles, along with recreational vehicles, which we've kind of all talked about coming here. So legal suggested that the city has a couple ordinances on junkyards that we look and evaluate at both those under licensing and zoning, and then make them match, which they apparently do not match. So our attorney, Joe Driscoll, is working on a rewrite of those and to validate our language to make sure that we have correctly incorporated everything
And that'll include inspected.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it sure will. It'll also cover antique vehicles.
Yep.
And it'll protect us with dealerships and boat storage, all sorts of recreational vehicles. It's kind of what we've needed for a long time, and so he is working on that right now. We're hoping to have that back for next month. Also, I guess we can cover it right now. So, we would like to start moving forward with the master plan, especially with the steering committee. So we have to get 3 members from the planning board. So
How often is that gonna meet?
it is at your leisure of when we want to do that. Actually, do they have to be members of the planning board, or they can be?
So I'm looking at the rules right now. So it has to consist of 6 members. 3 members shall be appointed by the chairperson of the planning board. 2 members shall be appointed by the city manager, and 1 member shall be the planning director or their designee.
So it doesn't have to be somebody from the board, but we need to think about who we want on that.
Does that say 3 from the planning board?
No,
Three people appointed from the planning board.
So the chair will have to appoint 3 members. It does not have to be, those 3 members do not have to be of the planning board, but they have to be appointed by the planning board chair.
Does it have to be done tonight?
No, no. I just want to think about it.
Okay.
You know,
That'd be good.
it-
So if anybody here is hot to be on the master plan committee, please let me know. Okay?
Also, we are in the process of hiring an economic developer. And with that position, I feel like that would be exceptionally important to have them at that table.
At the table, but not appointed.
I thought it would be very prudent to have them as a member of the board too.
Would that be your?
Manager could do that too.
The manager could do that as well. It could be one of the managers.
Yeah.
So,
I'd rather have the manager do that than.
Yeah, give us 3 others. I'd rather see that.
okay,
I'll talk to him.
okay,
All right.
perfect.
Is that in the near future? Is that the plan?
I hope so.
Oh, excellent.
I think
We
it's
did not
just-
get the grant, right?
So we did not get, so we did apply for $100,000 of federal funding. We did not make it to round 2 of the selection process, so we're not getting that. Another topic we would like to discuss tonight is there is a housing opportunities grant, where we can also obtain $100,000 to rewrite our master plan and to audit our zoning ordinance and do an implementation plan in our, for that master plan. I would like to see if we could get a vote of support for that from the planning board tonight. As we're working on the grant right now, and one of the requirements of that grant is a letter of support from the planning board.
So
And-
moved.
Is
So
there a second?
seconded.
Seconded by Amy. All in favor, please raise your
Yeah.
hands. 6 in the affirmative,
Go get
none
some money.
opposed. Thank you very much.
That's fantastic. We love the free money.
We all do.
We'll have to reach out to city council to get them to also give us a letter of support. Hopefully that'll go through as well. And Tyler, do you want to talk about the Housing Champion program?
Yes, so as you all indicated, we love free money, and the state has recently finalized rules through BEA for a new program called the Housing Champion Community. And basically, what this is, it's a program run by BEA to designate certain municipalities as having met the requirements to promote the development of workforce housing and alleviate the housing shortage. And so there's a whole scoring matrix included with that. It looks at things like our zoning ordinance, our subdivision site plan regulations, infrastructure projects from roads, sidewalks, sewer, water, as well as any financial incentives we offer to developers as a city. Compiling all that together, if we meet a certain minimum score, the state will designate us as a housing champion community, which then allows us to have access to state and I believe even some federal dollars that are funneled through the state that we can use to further develop our infrastructure, have more financial incentives for developers, and also rework our zoning ordinance, site plan subdivision regulations, all that good stuff. So it's just a way for us to access more resources that we can then utilize to reinvest in ourselves. And we've just begun looking at that. Like I said, within the past couple weeks, they've approved these rules, so we're reading through it now. And one of the things we wanted to do was mention it tonight, because we can also use that as a part of our
Application.
HOP grant application. So saying that we are moving forward, this is something the planning board is seriously looking at and considering. And of course, we would love to get your feedback. If you have any questions about it, we're always happy to answer them, so.
It's also a great opportunity, as BEA did adopt it, and they have some guidelines for us. And it really is a prime opportunity for us to look at our zoning ordinance and some of our other ordinances that we have, like such as a cluster, and to update some of those things that they haven't been updated in a long time to reflect current standards. So it's a great opportunity, and it gives us, it could be a great benefit to us to get some additional funding. I think it's $5 million a year the state is getting from the federal government for it, so.
Mr. Chair, can I ask one question of the
Please.
staff? One thing I'd like to see, not for tonight, is there any possibility of any kind of discussion of making provisions during housing upgrades? I mean, we over the last 5 years, we've done a lot of good things, but we've displaced an awful lot of people. Is that part of this BEA thing? I mean, we've displaced a lot of people on the lower end of the economic scale.
So
I
it does
think is what I'm
actually
trying to
address some of
say.
those things in this program. Is that I think you can get points if you have something in your ordinance to allow for a requirement for new subdivisions within certain areas to have such a percentage of workforce housing. Not in the entire city, but maybe in a certain zoning district or an area that you want to stipulate that if you're going to redevelop something, that such a percentage of those need to be workforce housing. And I think we've seen that with conceptuals that have come in so far, where they've proposed 20% workforce housing. So
Oh, no, I do. What I'm thinking of is, I don't know, people come in, they buy an apartment building, they throw everybody out on 30 days' notice, and they upgrade it, and they raise the rent beyond the former tenant's capacity. And I don't know legally if we can do anything about that. So I guess that's my question. I think it's late, and it's probably not a topic for tonight, and it may not even be something we can control. But in the recent past, that's my observation, is that we have not given great consideration to a lot of people on the lower end of the economic scale as we've gone forward with what has proven to be some pretty lucrative projects. But there's a but there, and that's all. I think maybe not for tonight, but for another discussion.
I was gonna say, I don't know what the response would be in that particular situation, because nothing's really come before the planning board in that instance. However, anything that does come before planning board, that is certainly one of the tools that Rob had mentioned, where, if you wanna have 20% of the units that are being developed be deed restricted to workforce housing for a certain number of time, I think that would alleviate it, because even if they sell it, it's in the deed, it's gonna go with the property, so that
No,
will
I
alleviate.
do understand that. My question is what do we do with existing tenants in older buildings that get tossed out? And I don't know that we can. And I think I said, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we clearly have a problem in the city.
I don't know if that's the planning board that really manages
And
that.
I don't know that it is either. That's why I'm just throwing it out there. I don't think for tonight. I'm just saying I wouldn't mind having a discussion at some point in time about that, and it may not even be something we can control.
But I think it would be a great question for the new economic developer / housing director, which is coming up. So I can't wait to pile some stuff on their plate.
Okay, well, anyway, I don't know that anybody necessarily disagree with this. It wasn't great housing, but it was housing.
In the course of your reviews, I wonder if ultimately, workforce development issues, if vertical challenges had not to be reviewed. Because 20 or 30 feet, whatever it is.
So you're absolutely correct. You were 100%. And in that housing opportunity grant, One of the things that we're looking to have done is a zoning audit to review how we are affecting housing development within the city and whether that is something that needs to be analyzed. So absolutely.
So wait a minute, you lost me. You never finished your sentence. 20 to 30 feet, what?
Right now, we have a restriction of 30 feet,
Yeah, 35 feet in a lot of areas. Yep.
35 feet in many areas.
Certain centers, yeah.
I know you're concerned about the weirs, but there are other parts of the city where maybe 5, 6, 7-story buildings ought to be considered
Okay,
for
I
apartment
just wasn't
buildings.
sure what you were talking about, okay.
I mean, I think we can identify zoning areas
Yep.
Yes.
where that kind of, but I mean, you look at any other city in the state, and they have a lot more height than we do.
Yeah.
And in order for the city to grow with housing, we're gonna have to go up, because there's not much room left to go
It's
out.
cheaper to go up than it is to go out.
It
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
and it's more efficient in terms of land use and in terms of green space.
We already have the infrastructure in our primary areas that we would want to increase that density. And it would be more cost effective to go up.
The other, if I may, Mr. Chairman, the other thing I'm concerned about is performance zoning in your master planning and all that stuff. And particularly, I'm concerned that within a fairly short period of time, we're gonna see some people coming in here from Londonderry to talk about the state school property. And I think you ought to be giving us some idea of changes we can make to control.
We had that exact conversation first thing this morning.
Okay.
That is definitely on our radar. We have kind of been talking about it, and then we just it's been very busy. So we are definitely on that. We have been discussing.
I compliment you, I mean that sincerely, for thinking ahead on that.
Is it worth a field trip to Woodmont Commons to see what it looks like?
Well,
Ooh, road trip.
Field trip to where?
Woodmont Commons?
I would suggest we not go as a planning board,
No.
but as a private citizen, if you wanted to take a ride and investigate other developments that are going on, I would encourage you to.
Where is Woodmont? Pardon my.
Londonderry.
Londonderry, okay. And on a completely different subject, Mr. Chair, what is a festival street? Is that what we're doing downtown with Canal Street?
So, actually,
I just noticed that an update in the TIF district, and I just was looking for some more clarification on that.
So that was something that we discussed at the TIF, at the downtown TIF meeting, only because we know that Canal Street gets used a lot for special events.
Yep.
And this is something that's taking place in a lot of cities around the country. You know, and it was something we were looking at to see if there isn't a way we can make it more appealing and easier to utilize Canal Street as an event space for more events downtown to attract more people here. You know, there are certain ways we can go about that, but that was just an initial conversation we were having with the TIF to see if that would be something they would be at all interested in.
And how did it go this summer? We closed Canal Street 3 times, right, for 3 separate
So far.
things. Did that work out all right?
Yeah, it was fine, you know, weather has a big impact.
Well, I understand that,
Well,
but
so you know, that it had a big impact, or things were canceled and moved, I mean, but it was fine, it was just nice local crowds, it was nothing overwhelming, nothing underwhelming, it was just.
and as a business person down there, I mean, did you feel you benefited from that?
Well, I didn't stay open for it, but I'm sure some of the other businesses that cater to that type of thing with refreshments or food undoubtedly did benefit from it.
Right,
but,
yeah,
you know.
because I was thinking on the retail end, I did some time at a bookstore downtown, and the hours weren't consistent. A lot of the downtown
Well, Gail,
businesses,
it's
I'm
up-
just saying, I'm just throwing that out there to say, we want this to work for everybody, and that includes people who are in retail sales downtown. Which you are.
So noted. So no, I'm just starting to watch the clock here, kids, so.
Yep, no, and I'm saying these are all things, if we have a short meeting sometime in the future, we can put them on an agenda.
Somebody else had their hand up over here?
Well, I'll wait for the council part of your
Okay.
agenda there.
Anything else for you guys?
Yes, the planning board needs to appoint 3 really, members to CIP.
Yes, I'll volunteer for one of those, we need 2 other people.
Love to volunteer.
You can't.
You know, I was already saying, nice play.
Thanks. No, last time I sat on it, Amy, I gave everything to you.
Thank you.
It didn't work that well, but.
I need 2 other people. 2 other people.
I'm
For
got
what's
tied up
the-
with the
what's
concept.
the-
CIP, so you'll come to a
Capital
number of
improvements plan.
meetings, you go over the.
Capital improvements.
Capital improvements, there's a list from all the different departments, they make their presentation, then
Oh,
you
okay,
score them at
sorry.
the end.
Now I'm, got it.
Is that something you'd be interested in?
If we need the help, I'll volunteer.
Okay, that's one, Mike?
It's actually a
It's a
really
lot of
fun,
fun.
it's,
Wait,
it's
wait,
very
let's
fun.
see if we get number two here.
Yeah.
Number two, anybody else? What if we don't get a number two? Or number three at this point?
You appoint one.
You appoint somebody.
From this
For
group?
Christ's sakes,
There
Charlie.
he is, Charlie.
I'll volunteer.
All right, I hate
So
appointing.
you were on it 2 years ago.
Okay, so that's number,
did
that's number
master
three right there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
That's all we have.
I have one question, and I suppose, Mike, the zoning board of adjustments, where is Keyser Street? Court.
Oh, Keyser Court?
Where is
Oh, it's
that?
over by Memorial Park.
Is that where it is?
I think so.
If you're driving down, and you pass, Lakes Region Community Developers, I think it's the next road on
Yeah,
the right.
it runs, it's like
Okay.
kind of a sort of dead end.
Okay, I
It's
just wanted to
over, you
know
There,
that.
there's a sewer pump station right there, and then it kind of, there's a path that connects to,
Okay, that's all.
Bartlett Beach.
That's fine. All right, thank you. All right, you guys are all set then? Well done, thank you very much.
No chickens?
We now move on to liaison reports, and I believe Councilor Cheney has something to say about, from City Council?
Well, yeah, I don't have something to say from the city council. I mentioned performance zoning, and I want to encourage both the planning board and particularly the planning department to get to work on performance zoning. The other two things I wanted to comment on were, I want to compliment and thank the staff for including their TRC report to the council. I honestly believe that will, over the long haul, be a useful addition. I really do. And finally, I would tell you that I've talked to other counselors about the director's report coming to the council, and it's extremely well received, and you're to be complimented for the quality and for the foresight to provide it. So those are my comments for this week. Mr. Chairman.
I was trying to get. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Cheney, and of course, I think we all agree on that easily. Okay, Lakes Region Planning Commission, do we have anybody on that from here?
We do, Rich and
Rich.
myself.
Rich,
I
any?
haven't been to one yet.
Okay,
Yeah, they'll start up, I believe this month will be the first meeting for the fall session. It'll be, this month, October and November.
okay, Conservation Commission, we have anybody on that?
Yeah, me.
So excited.
Charlie.
Is that still going 2 times a month?
Yeah. I'm only going once. I'm only, be honest with you, I'm only going, and I will go if there's a CUP, and there was one at the last meeting, and
Okay.
I've forgotten really completely what it was about, and I apologize for
That's
that.
fine.
But
At least we have somebody there.
we did
so-
have a review of a project that is already, I believe, come in front of the planning board.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you. Historical District Commission, we're waiting for the planning director to be moving right along.
That is on my list to do
Thank you
of,
very much. Please make sure it doesn't keep getting bumped down, will you? Whatever it takes, get 2 coffees, whatever, let me know.
boy.
I want to add to that. I brought up at the council meeting, I hope the Historical Commission will start looking at more than what they've looked at up to this point, the obvious. In Lakeport, there's the old GAR building that needs to be
So-
somehow recognized and taken care of.
I-
And that's only one.
I just wrote that down, so.
There are pounds around the city, animal pounds left over from the 1800s that need to be identified, kept up, and
It's not mine. You can say what you want.
it's a city facility, so,
Are they?
yeah, most
Well,
of
we
it.
have public works for that. Are they really?
That's to take care of.
But you know what I'm trying to say. I would like to,
I'll let Wes know.
Okay,
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
you're very welcome. Any other business? Look at that, 8:24, I'm so proud of all of us, including you, Savannah, thank you very much.
We'd like to discuss at length, going forward, Mr. Chairman,
Other business.
I can't do
You're
it.
gonna discuss your motion to
Yeah.
adjourn, isn't
gonna
that
mu-
what you
I'm
were
gonna
gonna
muzzle
discuss,
him.
Bruce?
The other business, we did do the capital, when will that start, the CIP?
I believe it's in October is when it'll officially
Okay,
the
you
start
get-
meeting.
will you get us those
I will
dates
get
as
you
soon
those
as
dates,
possible?
absolutely, yes.
Submit 'em
For
to
the
water
other two
department for
members
years.
here?
We have
Took me a
them
while to
ready to
get
go.
it.
We will send them out to you guys.
Okay.
First thing in the morning.
Thank you very much. Again, this is great, 8:24. Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Second. All in favor, raise your hand. No opposition. Thank you all very much. Thank you to the public.
Lovely, Charlie, lovely.
Go see Kurt.